This is the Elevate Construction Podcast, delivering remarkable content for workers, leaders, and companies in construction wanting to take their next step. Get ready to step out of your comfort zone with Jason Schroeder as he encourages you to do better, live a remarkable life, and expect more. Let's go.
Welcome to the Elevate Construction Podcast. This is Rena, the producer, and this is the 6th of 9 podcast episodes recorded in 2017 after implementing Lean on a project. You will hear the voices of Jake Smalley, Jake Pardoon, and Jason Schroeder as they reflect on the successes and failures of their experiment. Enjoy.
Okay, everybody, we're back for podcast 6 talking about cleanliness and organization. We don't need any notes, guys, so let's just go. So I'm going to rant, and you guys try and infill stuff that will make people not hate me.
Hold on. So, yeah, I just want to, this is a precursor. So Jason and I, well, all three of us actually are pretty psycho when it comes to this. Even other superintendents, I think, hear how we ran this project and think we're a little over the top, but we had some serious success. And I'm looking across into the lobby right now, and the owners have taken over the building. There's AV in now, and it's about as clean as it was while we were still in construction.
That's an interesting observation, yeah.
So
you really are right about that. There's a couple of things, and these are just our beliefs, and so take these podcasts with a grain of salt or for whatever value they are. But people say that cost, schedule, quality, and safety are all equal. I feel like schedule comes first. I mean, safety obviously comes first, but if you have a good schedule, you can have a level workforce, meaning you're once.
I want to play devil's advocate.
I hate
your bet.
So meaning you can have a stable work environment. You can have plenty of time to do your stuff. You can, with a good schedule, you can have costing.
What does schedule have to do with safety, Jason?
Schedule? Or
yeah.
So I like that. I'm glad that you asked that. Because have you ever done out of sequence work or work where you're on top of each other, or work that was too fast or not paced right?
Well, I have. So, but I'm asking that question because we went and spoke and we went around and we met some people, and quite frankly, some people look at us like we were crazy.
Oh, because of that. Yeah. Well, so you're right. If you have thank you, Jake. That was a really good point. So if you have a good schedule, you have a good plan, then you can go implement safety the way we need to, implement quality the way we need to, and we can make money because we have a good plan. So it's really actually not even the schedule, it's the plan and schedule, right? That comes first. We have to have a good plan to succeed. If you have out of sequence work or workers on top of each other, you're going too fast, chances are we're not going to make it for cost, quality, or safety. And then the basis for even that, going all the way back, the basis for all success, in my opinion, is a clean and organized workforce. Sometimes you'll get some snarky remarks from the Lean Core training where they're like, you wouldn't go 5S just for no reason. You got to have a reason to do it. And I love the Lean Core training, so don't get me wrong. But when I heard that, I was like, that's not true. You 5S anywhere you want to go. You clean anywhere you go. You organize anywhere you go. Cleanliness and organization is the basis for a stable environment and for all the success that we have out here in the field. And so you guys jump in with stories, but I'll say this, is that if it's dirty, we're not focused on safety. If it's dirty, we don't see quality problems. If it's dirty, we're not keeping an eye on the crews. If it's dirty, we don't see if things are out of sequence. All we're trying to do is not trip over stuff, try and walk around materials. We're distracted, demoralized by the chaos. I mean, having a clean environment is the only way you see what you need to see.
Well, and to add to the greatest way that we were able to find where the problems were, where the subs were having the issues with, where the quality was lacking, where, with the different levels, different areas, you have different foremen, as to see who was struggling where, was to go up and take a walk and see where it was dirty. Because at those areas, the individual foreman was not planning his work. He was not giving enough time to clean his area. He was not paying attention to the quality. He was just letting everyone run wild. And when that happens, we are able to identify it if the job site's clean. If the whole rest of the job site looks like that, looks like chaos, where do you find those areas that are slipping? Where do you find those areas that are struggling? And then how do we bolster them? How do we support them? And how do we go through it?
Well said.
Use some big words there.
That was
Bolster.
impressive. I got like chills when he helped my back. I too bad I shaved my neck, Ross, there. So
I'm not going to talk the rest of the time.
well, so that's a really good point because, and we constantly said good jobs are clean jobs. Good crews are clean crews. Good foremen are clean foremen. Good employees are clean employees. And if somebody, and so, I just realized this when you talked about it, and we've said it before in different words, but if somebody's not cleaning their area, do we really think they're paying attention to quality? If somebody's not cleaning their area, are they really paying attention to safety? There's no way. I mean, it's a key indicator to, if it's not clean, like Jake said, workers are going too fast, or they don't have a plan, or they're not organized, or something. You hit it on the head. Something's wrong with the foreman, something's wrong with the crew, something's wrong with their culture.
Well, here's a thought that I've noticed in the past couple of weeks is other projects you can bring people up and you walk on the site, and as a superintendent, I go and I get after people. Dude, I say, this is dirty. We need to get this cleaned up. So here, the foreman, the automatic thing is to do this. So they'll say, oh, we'll have the composite cleanup crew come up here, or we'll have, I'll get some other laborers and we'll get right on it, and that's great. Get on it and get it cleaned up. But really, it's a Band-Aid because you're going to go chase your tail between your legs around and around in circles because you've got the journeyman out there that's leaving all the crap and not cleaning up after themselves. So you kind of have to, if you run into that, you need to nip it in the rear end because although throwing laborers up there to clean, doing a composite cleanup, we'll get the floor clean for about a day. If the guys aren't all trained and you don't nip it in the rear end, it'll just be dirty all over again the next day, and you're going to chase your tail all up and down the building.
Because you haven't reinforced good habits. There's no accountability.
Like cleaning up after your kids.
Yeah.
If you continue to clean up after your kids are going to keep leaving messes.
Exactly.
So if you have someone, a maid, coming around cleaning up after your kid's never going to learn to clean up after themselves.
Although, just for the record, I'd love to have enough money to pay for a maid. Just throwing that out there. So, if anybody's listening. So, I really like what you guys are saying. So, at BSRL, we've already talked about it in another podcast, but we've never, not once in 3 years, had a composite cleanup crew. We said from day one in like Tony Robbins' speech where we're out there like with our megaphone inspiring people saying it will never happen. It has never happened. We will never have a composite cleanup crew. If somebody's messy, it's in the contract. We're shutting down the work. Nobody works until it's perfectly clean. Oh, wait. No, perfect. Well, what do you mean? No, perfect. That's all we expect. And in fact, after a while, we kind of joked with each other. We were like, no, perfect will be okay. Don't worry about anything more than that. If you're doing more than just perfect, you're wasting your time. Just get it perfectly clean. That's all we want. And we have to set that dial.
And setting that dial early, setting that dial from the beginning, set a standard for what we were looking for with quality, with schedule, with everything else. Because the first thing that happens on a job site is we start working. You start, say you're on an empty site. You start digging foundations, setting rebar. As long as you're maintaining that cleanliness from the very beginning.
Yeah.
And the next sub sees it that you've held it to the rod busters, to the concrete company, to the people setting the steel. If you hold each company accountable before the next one, so before the electricians got here, before all these people got here, we set a standard for what we were going to expect for quality, not only for cleanliness, but for quality. And that carried on. So when you went to someone and said, hey, this is not what we're looking for quality-wise,
Yeah.
they were like, oh, okay, you guys, and I've heard this before, oh, you guys just look for everything. You're out there looking at everything. Well, of course.
Yeah.
That's our job.
We want to make a difference.
We want to be different than everybody else.
I like that. You hit it right on the head. And yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because the concrete guys were difficult, and we made our concrete deadline, our last deck pour, within 4 hours. I mean, it was kind of scary. We had to do some very safe but detailed logistics to get the concrete done and to make sure that things were sequenced properly. We even had to split some other decks, and basically it was just a lot of effort. And so there were times where we didn't want to shut him down, but we got up there and it was dirty on the deck, and we said, guys, I know you want to pour tomorrow. Let's all stop what we're doing. And they were like, come on, what do you, what? We got to pour, we can't do that. We'll clean this up later. Nope, we're going to clean it up now. Because if it's dirty, you're going too fast, or you're unsafe, or somebody's going to get hurt. End of story. So when we talk about cleanliness and people say, well, why do we stay clean? It's safe. Yep. You're not going to trip. Yep. Got it. But if it's clean, you will see if there's a hole in the ground that needs to be patched. You'll see a handrail that's missing. You'll see a quality defect. You'll see a crew going too fast. You'll see a foreman that's not jiving with his or her people. You will see the things on the job that you're supposed to see in order to manage the project properly. And if it's dirty, you cannot. And there's a neat little story. I think it's in Scaling Up Excellence. I can't remember the exact book, but they did an experiment where they put lemon scent on. So they took one train and people would trash the cars a certain amount or whatever. And then they did a lemon scent on the other train. And so when I'm not explaining this right, but on the one train, there was no change. On the other train, when you walked in, it would smell like a lemon cleaner. And after a couple of weeks, they went and looked at how the people treated the trains, and the one with the lemon scent was pretty clean, and the one without was about 3 times as dirty. And they've done these psychological tests over and over to say that there are certain mental, psychological triggers that will determine the behavior of the herd, the group. Meaning that if they come on site and see it's clean, or they smell a lemon scent, or whatever the case may be, psychologically, they've picked up that pattern as the accepted standard of behavior for the culture or the group that they're in. And if they walk on site and there's trash or there's this or people don't care, then psychologically, and I'm not a doctor or a psychiatrist, but according to these studies, psychologically, they will then let down their guard, lower their standard, accept a lower standard, and treat it just like they perceive everyone else has treated it. And so that's the other part of this, is that if you want the people to frame the walls right, or to keep the inside of the walls cleaner, to do a quality job, or to pick up after themselves, psychologically, you have to win them over in the orientation when they walk on site, and in the bathrooms, like Jake was talking about in one of the earlier podcasts. You have to win them over and set their mental dial, to a higher standard of living. And so that's really just a neat thing. And then this is the part where I'll probably make somebody mad, but I don't mean to, is that if you want a clean site, if you're a PM, a PX, if you're a superintendent, and you want a clean site, your superintendents have to be willing to pick up trash. They have to be willing to set the example. They have to be willing to shut down crews. They have to be willing to sweep. And Jake, you had an interesting story where you had trouble with one of the floors being dirty that day. Tell them what you did.
Well, I just went up on the floor one day, and the guys, and I don't know if I've said this in another podcast, but went up on the floor one day and had a mess, just in one of the areas. And I said, guys, let's stop. And I immediately walked over and grabbed a broom, and I started to sweep. And one of the journeymen came over and stopped me and said, Jake, hey man, you don't need to do this. We've got laborers that can come and do this. I said, no. I said, you're looking at a labor here right now, and you're a laborer, and we need to get going. And he kind of like stepped back, and then I just kept sweeping. And then pretty soon they kind of just all like very sloth-like, they all started to follow me and clean up. And it kind of just built, and pretty soon we were dancing and singing songs and playing dominoes, and it was like a scene from Newsies. It was great. Or Mary Poppins when they're cleaning chimneys.
Yeah, that when everyone was cleaning when I saw to the floor.
So everyone started cleaning, and I only had to do that a few times, and it's not that I didn't want to. It's just I got to where I could just walk in, guys, say, stop work, let's clean up, guys. It doesn't look good. And they would drop everything, clean up. I'd come back 15 minutes later, and then you could eat off the floor.
Yeah.
So
it was really creepy. Like it literally was that clean. And so this is kind of a sidebar, but let me just throw out a suggestion. Like if you're a superintendent, you're trying to rein these things in. Interesting little thought. And Jake, you know this because you read the book Building the Empire State, but they used to have little rail tracks at every floor. So they'd bring things up through the temporary elevators, and then they'd have these little rail cars, and that's how they got the materials around on the floors. And so I thought, all of us at the BSRL thought, what is the modern equivalent to little rail lines on the floor to get materials everywhere? And those are the open hallways, the open spaces, the material access, right? And in the morning meetings, we always talk about how like Patton could have gone straight into Berlin and defeated Hitler 3 months earlier if he could just have kept his supply lines going. And so we really do, and Jake did a great job of doing that, keep his supply lines open, clear, to where anybody could work and they don't lose time. Let me finish one thing and then you interrupt me. So, this is a neat trick. If you got a floor that you need clean and you're not happy with what's going on, respectfully, you talk to the crew and say, hey, we need to clean up the floor. And you can do like Jake did, where you pick up a broom. What my method is that I liked is I would go into the rooms and pull out boxes, or with the broom sweep out into the hall the stuff that needed to be cleaned. And so I would take the pipe, move it into the corridor, not to where people are tripping on it, but it is literally in the middle of those access ways. Take a box, move it out there. Here's a trash can that needs to be empty. Here's this, here's that. And if I had to be called away from a meeting and then I was going to come back, there is no question about what needs to be cleaned, because I just put it in the hallway. And so if you start a movement like that, or you do shut down a crew, that's an easy way to get everybody wrapped around what they need to go tidy up. Put it right in the access way, and then when you come back, those access ways will be clear. It's a really a good way to get people trained. And I hope that made sense.
It does. I want to say though, the main artery that we're talking about with the supply line and everything, although we did do that, I think the reason that worked, Jason, is because we'd already built the culture.
Okay, I'm with you.
If you don't build a culture and you go start throwing stuff in the middle hallway, you take a pipe rack and you stick it because it looks like crap and it's not organized, and you roll it in the middle of a corridor or whatever, and guys can't walk through there, you will see the morale of the entire site just go away.
So what you're saying is, because people were taught to clear them, you put it here, they take it out. You're saying on a job without the culture, they just see it and be like, oh, it's in my way.
They have to walk around. They turn around like a zombie and turn around, and they walk all the way around and complain and the whole time about it.
So if we're going to do a plus delta on the cleaning, I have one delta. Okay. Is that sometimes the culture of cleanliness, it's a little away from us, and we end up throwing some stuff away because you're right. Our guys got a little too involved and too, if it's been there a while, they thought, okay, it's been here, someone's forgotten about it, let's just throw it away. And then when we go to find those pieces, because they were here on site, they ended up going away. So it goes, we have to have that culture. It also has to come with a little bit of training
and respect for
other people's stuff, because we don't want to just start throwing stuff away. And getting the people to understand that was the challenge. But in some ways that did help, because we threw a couple things away and someone had to go dig it out of the dumpster. And you heard all sorts of names and all sorts of words coming out of the dumpster. But at the same time, it taught them a lesson that it never happened again. Yeah. If you told them, hey, this needs to be cleaned up, or we will clean it up. We'll have our guys do it. We'll have, if you're not going to do it, we'll make sure it gets done, but we're not going to be responsible for anything that gets lost or thrown away.
I think that's a fair comment. I do agree with you. Nobody did it maliciously, but it was like they did. I, with some of the guys, I got a little excited. I think we've replaced 3 sets of anchor bolts because of stuff like that. But anyway, what color?
Seal and tail.
I never threw away seal and tail, Jake. Stop it. Actually, I might have. But we had a little banner. It was 25 feet long, but it says cleanliness and organization is the best indicator for the success of a project, and we really believe that. So, Jake, you have anything else before we close this one down? All right, love you guys.
Please join us next time in elevating the entire construction experience for workers, leaders, and companies coast to coast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to share with your construction colleagues and help us spread the word by rating, subscribing, and leaving a review on your preferred podcast listening platform. We really appreciate it. We'll catch you next time on the Elevate Construction Podcast.